we've got some real, actual, finally big news to get to in this episode of Only Weird Games. We will do that very shortly. But first, Seth Keysor, you told me right before we got rolling here that you had something at your house or something that was going to really let me crack some jokes at your expense in the cold open. What have I got? What's my material?
Look, Joshua, I am 40 years old now, and I've been trying to take my diet a little more seriously. I've been working out again a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I have finally purchased the final piece of the puzzle in order to try to not look ridiculous.
Something real dorky, something real lame.
What is ridiculous. And so today, I'm so excited about this. I have a brand new sitting right next to me. I won't move it all around because we got some bags here.
So dorky.
A brand new recumbent bike to exercise on. Let's go.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I've kind of been. No, I mean, I played in a charity softball game a few days ago, and I have a couple muscles that are still sore. Most of them are fine. I think after 3 full days of rest, I might be able to jog around the bases again. But I've been kind of thinking, figure out what's the kind of a fun way to get cardio going. Why not a treadmill, Seth? I don't know. Why?
Because I'm 40, man. These knees, they're not going to get any better. And here's the great thing. So, with
that also makes sense. You know what? You're right. They are hard on your knees. I used to get shin splints, so I just don't run anymore. Because those are really unpleasant. I didn't enjoy having those. I had those in high school. No, the recumbent bike seems wise, I think.
And you can also, while you're on it, you can just go on your phone. There's a new season of Quarterback, and I can watch them continue to use highlights from a game 4 years ago to pretend Joe Burrow is Patrick Mahomes' equal. I mean, and I can do that while working out, while getting slimmer. Mrs. Minnesota Chiefs fan gets more beautiful every day, and so I got to do something, dude.
Right. No, I mean, I'm thinking, I got college football 26 a couple days back. I've started my new dynasty as the Kansas City Possums. I've gotten some reps in there. It'd be really easy to play that while being on the bike instead of while laying on the couch and just eating nothing but pork rinds and Sour Patch Kids.
Right. I probably get work done while doing this. I'll return some emails. It's going to be awesome.
Chart some snaps.
I got to say, Josh, you have been much more supportive of this than I expected. Jazz's response when I said I was going to get a recumbent bike was something resembling, ew.
Oh, well, that makes me feel better. At least Jazz has the bullying covered this time. The ever more shredded Seth Keysor joins me, the slowly shredding Joshua Brisco. We will be joined by Nate Taylor at some point in today's episode. I believe within the last hour, he was on NFL Live on his first or second day in Bristol, if I have my notes correct. So Nate Taylor of ESPN, I apologize for not using his full official name. Nate Taylor of ESPN will be joining us at some point in today's festivities. But Seth, the Trey Smith deal is done. We've got actual numbers. We can break this down a little bit. It seemed like you had a joke about Nate being on TV already.
You know what? That's Nate Taylor, ESPN.
I need him to really get those reps in. I want to hear 1,000 of those in St. Joe off camera. I just want him in the media tent, just going, "I'm Nate Taylor, ESPP." God dang it!
Anytime I'm around him from now on, if Only Weird Games, voyeurs, peepers, listeners, creepers, wall hangers, outers, because in the crawl space of the wall, that's when
that's where they are.
Yep. You're always so good to come up and say hello, and it's always so awesome. By the way, I've had people message me or DM me on Twitter later on and be like, "Hey, I saw you at such and such. I didn't want to bug you." You're not bugging me. Well, I mean, if I'm sitting there with my arms just been amputated by a horrific accident, then yeah, that might bug me a little. Unless you're coming over to use a tourniquet, but otherwise, come say hi. But when people do that, from now on, when Nathaniel Taylor, ESPN, is with us, I swear if he says, "Hey, Nate," I'm going to be like, "Hold on. You mean Nathaniel Taylor, ESPN?"
Yeah, you can still say hi to Seth and I in public. For Nate, you can submit a request to one of his many bodyguards that I assume he has on retainer now. I'm not exactly sure how that works. Maybe we get one of his bodyguards on the show every once in a while too, and just kind of see what the security is like.
Yes. I am fully in favor of that. I've always assumed if Nate was in mortal danger, he would just crouch down and use those magnificent calf and thigh muscles to jump up onto the roof of a nearby building. But, he's a little big time to have to do his own jumping these days.
Yeah.
So his bodyguards might fling him up there.
Well, you really know he's made it when he starts paying people to watch tennis for him. I know he loves that. But eventually, it's like you just have the ability to. And like, tell what did Alcaraz do today?
Yes.
But I think we may have a few more years of Nate of the people, I guess, before all of the unbelievable amount of fame and wealth goes to his head. Seth, I want to just give you the news on the Trey Smith front. I'm sure everybody has heard it in some form or fashion, but Trey Smith and the Kansas City Chiefs did come to an agreement on a long-term deal shortly before the franchise tag deadline a little bit earlier today. I'll give you the summary here from Nate Taylor of ESPN. It's actually a dual byline of Nate Taylor and Adam Schefter of ESPN.
Oh, I do have to say, and for those of you who are listening, when Adam Schefter tweeted the news, he said the news, their side extension, sources tell me and Nate Taylor. I don't mind telling you, that threw me. That was awesome. And we are going to make fun of Nate so often, but it's only because we are so proud of him. So, that's how we show love.
I'm not making fun of anybody today. I'm supporting your recumbent bike and Nate's ejection into a new stratosphere. So I don't know what got into me today. I don't know if I got a good night's sleep and I'm feeling weird, but supportive Josh is here. At least till Nate gets here. If I have Nate and you, then I'll pick one of you to pick on. But right now, I got to keep engagement with you. So
sure.
Here's how it was pinned over on ESPN.com. The Kansas City Chiefs accomplished their final major objective of the offseason, reaching an agreement with right guard Trey Smith on a 4-year, $94 million contract extension, a record-setting deal that makes him the highest-paid interior lineman in league history, sources told ESPN on Tuesday. Smith's deal includes $70 million guaranteed, the most guaranteed money ever awarded to an NFL guard. I'll also add, as they do later in the story, Creed Humphrey is just north of the $50 million guaranteed number for interior offensive linemen. That put him at 5. Now Trey Smith is up at 1. So the Chiefs have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 with Robert Hunt, Chris Lindstrom, and Quentin Nelson in the middle in terms of guaranteed money for interior offensive linemen. We also have a little bit of the structure now over on Over the Cap. They did bring down the year 1 cap hit for Trey Smith. It looked like for a little bit, maybe with all this cash up front, that they'd go ahead and keep a high cap hit this year. They had enough wiggle room anyway, but ultimately, according to Over the Cap, this year, it's about a $14 million cap hit for Trey Smith. Then it balloons to about $24 million in 2026, and then just under $28 million in 2027 and 2028. Both of those years actually have a little flexibility if something goes terribly, terribly wrong for the Chiefs to get out of the deal. That last year is, just prorated bonuses, holding up actually both of those final two numbers, according to Over the Cap. It's just the prorated roster bonuses. It looks like in those last 2 years, the guaranteed salary is all this year and next year. That's kind of interesting, structurally speaking. The Chiefs are retaining some flexibility at the back end, but as Nate talked about earlier in the month when we were talking about where the contract negotiations were hung up, what took so long? Why did we get here? How did we get to exactly this spot? Nate noted that there was also that discussion around 4 years or 5 years. Trey Smith's going to be able to finish his age 29 season in 2028 and be able to hit the market again at 30, or in all likelihood, you get through 3 years of this, and if things go well, maybe the Chiefs and Trey Smith renegotiate again after the 27 season. But that's pretty far out into the future. So a lot of numbers there, a lot of massive numbers. What was your first thought when you saw where this deal settled, Seth?
Looking at the structure is really interesting to me. And I'm looking at Spotrac has some good stuff on here too. One thing that's interesting, so the initial number, and this is how it's always done, right? The initial number that was reported was $70 million guaranteed. What's interesting is Spotrac's noted, and I think Albert Breer reported this as well, of those guarantees, some of them are future guarantees, and some of them are injury guarantees.
Right.
The fully guaranteed is more around like $47 million, which matters when you think about it in terms of, flexibility with dead cap numbers in the event something goes terribly askew. Something I like about what they did here, they definitely brought the cap number down this year by about $9 million, but they didn't bring it down as much as they could have, right?
Mm-hmm.
They brought it down to about 14.25, something like that. So the cap hits in 2026 is about 24 million. And then 2027, both years, it's about 28 million. What's interesting to me is those are relatively stable cap hits because the cap raises every year. And like this last year raised by like 25 million or something crazy. Probably going to do that again for a couple of years in a row, considering the new revenue that's coming in from all these streaming sources by and large, right? It becomes a smaller piece of the pie cap-wise. So that's something I like because normally with the Chiefs, that final year is quite often an unrealistic number. Like Jawan Taylor's contract was always unrealistic for 2026, no matter what they did here. Here, by keeping that number in the somewhat upper 20s, 27, about 28 million. So that's the upper 20s. You are still, by having that be static year by year, you're giving yourself the flexibility to where they arrive in that last year. They don't have to, after 2027, do an extension. They could just let him play out the final year of his contract. If you compare that to other contracts they've done, there's usually that ballooning in the last year. It also gives them room, if they feel like it, to do a little restructuring to where that last year does balloon a little bit. So that's a little more flexibility than I saw on initial reporting. It's a huge contract, right? I mean, there's no two ways about it. I knew, not based on any reporting or anything like that, other than, the usual people that'll, chat a little bit and stuff. This had to happen, right? This was destined to happen. As soon as the Chiefs, and this is one of the first things I wrote about, following it being confirmed that he was signing long-term, when the Chiefs made a decision to trade Joe Thuney, they basically painted themselves into a corner in terms of what they have to do with Trey Smith, partly because unless you've got a couple of guys that for a fact that you're bringing into the rotation and you're psyched about, I think the Chiefs are somewhat excited about Kingsley Suamataia as a guard, but there's a ton of unknown there. Unless you've got multiple guys that you've got coming in, you're like, oh yeah, absolutely, this is going to work. You can't lose Pro Bowl interior linemen back-to-back years, especially when you've got the money to keep one of them. And so they made a choice early in the offseason when they probably, knew rough numbers in terms of what it would take to keep Trey Smith. They made a choice. They chose Smith. What's interesting to me is the way that's going to reverberate over the next couple of seasons. So what I want to start off with is, because it's always dangerous how you talk about these things, right? Because you're always going to be hit with a soundbite. So I'll start off with this, okay? Them having Trey Smith, a legitimately very, very good offensive lineman, is a good thing. He's a tone setter in run blocking. You can actually, and I always steal Brandon Thorne, who, if you don't follow, is one of the preeminent voices on trench play. Maybe even the best one in terms of bringing it to fans' levels and my level, because I'm not smart enough to understand stuff. The way he phrases it is Trey Smith is a guy you can build a running game around. That's very different than a good run blocker. He can execute any run blocking scheme, and you can build around him. He is their featured piece in the run blocking game. Creed does a lot of stuff too, but I mean, Trey is like the guy. Elite run blocker. He's a good to very good, and has improved every year, pass blocker. That is a good person to have on your team. It's a great person to have on your team who at any moment, defensive linemen, linebackers, corners, safeties, all of them know that if their head is not on a swivel, they might get absolutely crushed. That matters if you don't want, defensive ends, doing spin moves to the inside. You know why they don't do that? Because you might be spinning right into Trey Smith, and he will just destroy you. And it's happened a few times, and it's always hilarious. Those are good, really good people to have on your team. Long term, the Chiefs are significantly better off having Trey Smith on the roster than not having Trey Smith on the roster. I'm excited. He's gotten better every year. That's all great stuff. Here's the thing with that. it's easy to get caught up in what great news that is, because it is great news, and not talk about the roster building choice that's been made here. And this is where I think it becomes kind of interesting to talk about in terms of value. We now know, based on Joe Thuney's extension with the Bears, that the Chiefs, barring him being unwilling to do the exact same thing with the Chiefs that he did with the Bears, which wouldn't really make sense considering he was dealing with the same contract. We now know Joe Thuney's contract was 17.5 a year.
About 16-ish, about $6 million less per year over these next few.
Right. With $33.5 million fully guaranteed. So then, you're saving like another 12 to 15 million fully guaranteed there. It's also 3 years instead of 4 years. And so you've got a realistic out after 2 years. That's the way NFL contracts always are. You get a realistic out before that last year. So what the Chiefs have decided here, and this isn't a criticism, this is just something to know. When you think about this stuff, it's not necessarily binary. It's not there's this, this is this absolutely right answer, there's this absolutely wrong answer. Something to know, though, is the Chiefs didn't just choose Trey Smith over Joe Thuney. They chose Trey Smith over Joe Thuney plus about $6 million per season in cap space, plus a year of quote-unquote safe flexibility. That's something to take into account. The primary reason for this, I would assume, is because Trey Smith is 26 years old, and he just turned 26.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think in June. Joe Thuney turns 33 in November. And so that's one of the huge things that you consider there. But make no mistake, the Chiefs made a choice. And that choice is going to be really interesting to look at, because that's one of the reasons we follow sports, right? We love kind of breaking down what they did, what they could have done, all that fun stuff. They could have chosen to give Joe Thuney that exact same extension and then say that Thuney got, and then said, Trey, thanks for the Super Bowls, man. You're awesome. Go get a bag in free agency. And he probably would have gotten a little more. They could have done that and then had Kingsley at right guard. And then in that potential future, and this is just something to consider, to think about. Then in that potential future, you've got Josh Simmons, if he's able to win the starting job, starting next to Joe Thuney instead of Kingsley Suamata-Ia. You've saved $6 million a year in cap space, some flexibility there, and you've got a year earlier. Now you're taking more of a risk, though, right? Because it's an older guy who, he's about to turn 33, probably got 2 elite years left, but you never know. And something we've talked about before. Last year, Joe Thuney was a better player than Trey Smith. Now, Trey Smith is a really, really good player, but Joe Thuney might have been the best pass protecting guard in the NFL last year. Trey Smith's a good pass blocker. So those are all things to take into consideration to understand the Chiefs this offseason made a definitive choice that's going to have a ripple effect throughout what they do. And it was a hard choice. I mean, what do you do? It's a good problem to have. We have 2 really awesome players. We got to go one direction or the other. But it's just something to keep in mind when you're talking about value of Trey Smith. It's not just Trey Smith or no Trey Smith. There's an opportunity cost there with a future with Thuney that could have been realistic and had more flexibility too. I'm thrilled for Trey Smith. I'm thrilled for the Chiefs. But I think that's a part of it to take into account when you're talking about team building from 30,000 feet in the air.
And you're going to have those opportunity costs both with the, like you said, Thuney and $6 million or $23 million, or when we talk about George Karlaftis or Trent McDuffie or Rashee Rice down the road.
Yes.
All of this is opportunity cost. I didn't yell at you. I held my thought until I got down here. Of course, they're better with Trey Smith than without Trey Smith. That's not the question. They're better with Joe Thuney than without Joe Thuney. The question is, are we better with Trey Smith than we would have been with $23 million to spend elsewhere, with Joe Thuney and $6 million to spend elsewhere, et cetera, et cetera?
And no 2026 fourth round pick.
Right. And
got to include that.
Whatever else. Well, right. I mean, that's already gone. That's already into the Noel Williams move up. And what did Trey Smith have a market? Were the Chiefs looking for? A lot of complicating factors.
Right.
Here's the thing that I think explains all of this in one thought. No. I'm sorry. I got interrupted. I got a notification, and it's the notification that plays whenever Nate Taylor of ESPN is on the show. No. Okay, I'm sorry. Notification that says when Nate Taylor's going to be on the show. I'll get to him. Let's go ahead and take a timeout. When we come back, we'll bring in Nate Taylor of ESPN.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
I'm BJ Kissel, founder and CEO of KC Sports Network. Emprise Bank has been with us from the beginning. They were our first network partner, and they believed in the vision of what we were building from the start. I can't speak to any other banks or companies and how they operate, but I can tell you from personal experience and based on the growth of the network you're listening to right now, that if you have banking needs, call our friends at Emprise Bank. We've worked with so many great people there over the years, from Vicky and Aggie to Andrea, Lori, Jackie, Deb, and Aaron, and not to mention so many others that not just supported KC Sports Network, but supported our KCSN Foundation as well. But the best thing that I know is that if I have a question or a problem, no matter how dumb the question is, I know who I'm going to call and who I'm going to talk to, and I know that I'm getting an answer from someone that I can trust, and I know that person is there to help us. That's why Emprise Bank has always been and continues to be our partner in Possible, and they can be yours too. You just have to reach out. If you have a banking need, whether it's business or personal, hit me up. I will connect you directly with the same people that have helped us build KCSN. And that's our friends at Emprise Bank.
Folks, there's nothing that beats relaxing on a hot summer day and watching some baseball. And there's no simpler way to get in on the action than by downloading the Pick 6 app from DraftKings. It's crazy simple. Just pick more or less on the stats for two or more of your favorite players, and boom, you're in the mix for big cash prizes. And the best part, Pick 6 is available right here in Missouri. Don't miss out on the fun. Don't settle for a smaller payout. Switch to Pick 6, and right now, new customers can get $25 in bonus picks with their first deposit of $5. Here's what you got to do. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code KCSN. That's code KCSN for new customers to get $25 in bonus picks with their first deposit of $5. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Void where prohibited. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit. Bonus picks expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
All right, Nate, go ahead and just shoot us straight.
Josh,
NFL
Nathaniel
Live.
Taylor, ESPN.
I did that bit so much earlier. I kind of hope you just let me get away with the new bit, which is, Nate, today you will have done NFL Live and Only Weird Games. Which one? Well, you know, the question I could have asked, I guess, is which one has more professional hosts? But I think the dope in the middle is kind of already cemented that one for you. So what about just general ball knowledge, production
nice
value?
Before you got here, Nate. He was being really nice to me today.
You weren't being a dope before you got here.
I find that almost impossible to believe.
Wow. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, from Hotlanta, Bristol, Connecticut.
Really? It's cooking up there?
It's cooking. I had to because ESPN is very specific, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you all for again the warmest of welcome after being today was a day, guys, and we're gonna get into it, but security at ESPN is very rigid, and there's timing elements to everything, which you have to get used to. There's a there's schedules, there's meetings. I'd be whisked away from here. I'm being thrown this direction. I had to sort of run back here to my lovely hotel room just to be in position to join you guys, because it is so hot. It is, balls are just
Work for
struggling.
ESPN now. You don't have to finish.
Struggling. Just my balls are struggling, guys. It's incredibly hot in Connecticut, and I don't need more of this to prepare myself for a much smaller hotel room in obviously St. Joseph, Missouri, in a week's time. Because yes, ladies and gentlemen, the football team that you root for will have practiced at this time next week. For training camp, for the start of training camp. So today I experienced something for the first time, guys.
What's that?
And I know where we are. I know we have news to discuss. Happy to be here. Thank you for your patience. I have makeup on my face.
Saw that. I wouldn't have known from this, but I saw a little behind the scenes on socials. Seth and I were thinking we could use some, actually. Is that in the KCSN budget, Tucker? Can we get some powder or something for me and Seth?
Yeah.
It's kind of a drug now, guys. Yeah. I get it. When someone else does it, I could never do this, right?
I've almost never made a
maybe that's the gate.
Myself,
is that me walking through the gate?
It's worth a shot. Get your little starter pack.
Thank you, Nate. Thank you, Nate Dogg.
Makeup on me was when I was a kid and my older sisters were bullying me. So, yeah. No, you've met my sisters. They're mean.
They are. They are so nice to me.
You deserved it.
So mean to you. Yeah, that I've been there. I've seen it. So the makeup ladies were immaculate. So good. They do it so quick. It's like, again, we're men. I'm a man. We're idiots. I'm an idiot. Ladies, thank you for doing this because I feel amazing. And then they bring you on set, and then you have to do the job. But
while feeling pretty.
Yeah, and I've really come to the realization of like, yeah, the weather is trying to do mean things to women, and it's also doing mean things to me because I gotta get out of here, or it'll be so bad.
It would have been hilarious for you to step in here just with your face melting. I mean, that would have also been pretty wild. Yeah,
it would have been so catastrophic. And now I have a greater appreciation. And is that empathy?
Whoa! Turn back!
Whoa!
Let's not get carried away.
Okay, maybe
on there.
Okay, snap out of it. All right, I'll shower, and that'll never happen again.
Nice.
No, congratulations, Nate. From this day forward, you're gonna care about the size of your pores, and I think that's gonna be great. I'm excited to follow along this journey. I'm excited to follow along. Maybe you start like a makeup channel. You start doing TV makeup kind of stuff. Get ready with me to cover the Chiefs. I think that I'm kind of joking, but I'm more serious than joking. I think
you're in. Okay,
I'm definitely in. Yeah, I would watch that every day. Yeah, 6 a.m. ice on the face. 6:02 a.m. learn how to use an eyebrow pencil. Yeah, I'm there.
Holly, my wife, has never seen the images that I sent her while in the makeup spot, and I was like, this is how you get sociopathic right here. This right here. This is how you get.
You have a team of people come in and make you more beautiful.
Get incredibly narcissistic. Oh my God. They're so nice. They're so good at their jobs. I looked at myself and I said, that's me?
I'm retweeting everything I see that shows you on NFL Live. You look beautiful. Oh my goodness.
And they did it in like less than 5 minutes. I mean, it was in and out.
It's his first day. He's not.
Let's not give him the whole kit.
Wait until mid-season, and then we're gonna make this man levitate off the ground.
Yes, incredible. So thank you. I just wanted to share that because, now Nate Dogg's right. I got to start exfoliating. I really got to start caring about, and you go through the TV training, you go through so much of the behind the scenes stuff, which has been very interesting. I wish I could share all of it, but it would be too much. But because I'm swimming, trying to. When they say, "Hey, bud, have you been in the playbook?" Because we're just installing another wave of plays. That's what I've been doing the last 2 days. I'm just like, but it's like every other hour. I'm just like, oh yeah, I gotta remember that. And that what? Huh? What about my job? And then it's like, hallelujah, Trey Smith. As I've said for months and months and months and months and months that this was going to get done. We were ready for it when the moment got done.
You were smooth-skinned, clear-headed, and ready for the moment, as Trey Smith was. Apparently, I saw his pictures of signing the deal out at Arrowhead. I'll tell you this: it's still 90-something here, and he was in like looked like a flannel 3-piece suit. And this show, Seth, is going to be about makeup and fashion more often from now on, which I've been pushing for years. So you're just going to have to kind of get with it.
Could you ask the folks that helped you at ESPN if there's anything that you can do about this?
Hey,
and for those who are just listening, I'm just gesturing at my whole self.
You know what bums me out here, Seth? And this endangers the rest of the show, maybe the show in its entirety. If you cared, you'd listen to me and Tucker when we gave you free suggestions last week that you enthusiastically ignored. So this is you playing both sides in one of the ways that really does bother me in real life, where it's like, I want to make jokes about how I don't like how I look. And like, well, Seth, if you consider wearing one of those shirts with the buttons and the collar on it and the patterns, and you're like, well, yeah, but only on vacation. That's a vacation shirt.
No,
it's like, damn, Seth, I don't know. What can you do with a one-level buzz cut, a gray t-shirt, and no other changes in your life? Not a lot.
I think these are great looking shirts. See,
obviously, it's the only one you own.
I actually have been wearing more button-ups with collars lately, but I genuinely fear that we're going to have a revolt if Nate doesn't talk about what's actually going on. We'll talk about my style some other time. I'll tell you what.
I don't want to talk about your style.
I will wear one of the shirts that I've been wearing to church.
No, I'm still mad about your hair thing. I'm mad about the hair thing. Tucker and I gave you like 10 minutes of brainstorming, and then you came back today with the one and just went ahead and cleaned it out. Yeah. Nate, here's the question I've been waiting to ask you. I asked you a different version of this a week or two ago, because a week or two ago, it was, hey, so what's anybody gaining by this conversation really coming down to the wire? I mean, it was like shortly, about 2 hours until the deadline today. In your knowledge, did anything meaningfully change in the last couple of weeks? What's new that got the Trey Smith deal done today?
Things changed over the past couple of days, my friend. So yes, there are some things that I can share here that I have not shared anywhere else. Don't tell my employer just yet, but my new one. Look, some things changed, and I know you guys have probably talked before even I joined that the Chiefs kind of gave their leverage away when they traded Joe Thuney, and then they fully gave it away when they did not take someone in the first, second, third round at the guard position who could potentially compete, maybe be a replacement sort of hedge player to gain some modicum of leverage. So what has to change is, where are you willing to concede ground? As I've reported, and I know this back and forth the whole time, when they actually have these conversations, when those things infrequently happen, there'll always be the question about the years. Is it a 4-year deal? Is it a 5-year deal? Well, if I know I have leverage, well, let's talk about something else. Let's talk about what day you want this to happen, and what is it, are you going to be in the building? How do we want to present this? Oh, did you ask me about the years again? Oh, yeah. So, he really wants to be here.
I'm going to get so frustrated by positional bargaining in a second. I can't do this again.
This is hey kids, this is why you tuned in, because the Chiefs in different circumstances would have got a 5th year like they got with Chris Jones, and Trey Smith is younger, but we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. It will be,
give you 4.
It will be 4. And really, it's going to be a hard 3. And the Chiefs, with the clock ticking not in their favor, usually the franchise tag clock ticks at the team's favor. This is one of the rare circumstances, even though he's not playing a premium position, even though Trey Smith will never score a touchdown, we think. He's so valuable that they had to concede. And then it gets to the big guy, to the head guy. Hey, make another phone call. They're asking for more money. And we only got a certain amount of time. And I think we've conceded on the year to spread some of that money out. So, my cap guy's crunching numbers right now, but can we get Clark on the phone? Because I need more money. And so I know there's been suggestions that, like, hey, some people had heard 4 years, 88 million. Some people had heard 4 years, 90 million. And just with each clicking of the clock, moving closer to the deadline, I got a haircut. I'm in a nice suit. I'm ready to sign. I just need a little bit more money. And they were both thrilled and honestly relieved that they agreed to this, that ownership got in line, that much of today was about the structure of the contract. Not that it was not going to be agreed to. Me and Adam Schefter had it pretty solid that this was getting done today. It's just a matter of years, cash flow, how much you guarantee. It's virtually 70 million if you go through the contract. Okay, well, that makes him the highest interior offensive lineman in that specific, coming a year after his best friend got the highest paid money ever for a center. And that's how this all kind of worked. So you could say, well, why I had a couple of buddies text me, well, why are the Chiefs going above and beyond market value when technically I just need another 100,000 on the annual average. That franchise tag was 23.4. Could it really can we get 23.5? Can I get 5 on it?
Yep.
Can I get 5? So if you're a Chiefs fan and you're like, why do we have to do this? This is why you had to do this. And your owner was willing to do this. And you should say, thank you. And from a human being standpoint, you should look that man in the face and say he never thought he might play NFL football in 2018 due to the blood clots and the diagnosis of where those blood clots were in his lungs, due to the fact that he was an All-American from the moment he stepped on Tennessee, and he was an All-American the moment he stepped out of it. And because of this concern and a little bit of some of the pandemic stuff, he fell to the 6th round. So, yeah, I'm going to need an extra 100,000. I'm going to need an extra meal or two. Hey, if we push it to 4 o'clock, will we get 99 million? Oh, you know what? I do have a heart. Okay. You know what? I do want to get to celebrating. I do want to get to signing the contract. And the sooner we agree to it, I can get in my car. I can drive to okay. Yeah. Okay. You know what? For 94. For you, 94.
Quick bookkeeping note that I read the over the cap hits earlier, and I had that act like the completely guaranteed money. Seth mentioned this at the time. I just want to restate it again now. As Nate said, it's a hard 3. It's that 70 million is the functionally guaranteed. That's going to mean that those cap numbers in year 1, 2, and 3 are the cap numbers. And I assume if they need money in year 3, you go back to the negotiating table again, either after that year or before the final year of that deal, maybe before that year, depending on how that relationship's going. But I just wanted to note those numbers there and the fact that we could be doing this again before too long, before Seth talks about positional bargaining.
So one last thing, because I want you to think about this too, Seth. The last commenter, thank you, Ron Concentrate. Anyway, you can put it on there. Probably highest paid guard until Tyler Smith or Graham Bartner gets their second contracts. And yes.
And Nate, we talked about the structure a little bit, how it doesn't blow up in the final year the way a lot of the Chiefs contracts have in the past. You kind of have a relatively static amount years 2, 3, and 4. And so percentage wise of the cap, that comes down, which is nice. Yep. It'll make it look good. That's definitely a good thing. It also tells me, it wouldn't shock me. And I actually just had a friend say this to me on Twitter, and I agree with it. I think there's a non-zero chance they do some kind of restructure with him next year, like what they did with Jawan Taylor, which is what made Jawan Taylor's last year go whoop. And that's why he was never going to be on the roster in 2026, barring him playing like Lane Johnson this year or something. Because then they'd be like, oh, holy crap.
Well,
whoa, we can figure this out.
Even if he did that, Jawan Taylor was like, I knew I was on a contract year. Do me the favor, you know. That kind of
yeah.
Do me the honor.
And so it's really good to know that's how they got there. I always think about that stuff in terms of like the positional bargaining. It's so easy to ignore the human element to this because we view it as a sport. They view it as a job. And it's worth keeping in mind, Trey Smith was a 6th-round pick. He thought when he appeared on New Heights a couple weeks ago, he mentioned that his agent had told him, like, worst case scenario, you're a 3rd-round draft pick. And then he fell to the 6th round. There's several $1 million worth of difference there. This guy has been bringing home very good real-world money, but nothing like even like his buddy Creed Humphreys' 2nd-round money.
Correct.
And so, and
who now he could employ if he feels like it for any reason.
Absolutely. And so it is, this contract was always a player's second contract is always the bank breaker. And it's always going to be, and there's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with the team trying to squeeze every last dollar out of the salary cap. It's
Correct.
the one time, it's such a weird business in that 99% of the time, the needs of the team and the needs of the player relatively coexist. It's in the player's best interest and the team's best interest that the player's put in the best position to succeed, given everything he needs to succeed, given all the support he needs to succeed, play as well as he possibly can. And then you get to contract negotiation and their needs or their desires are squarely adverse to one another. And it's a very, very bizarre thing. I'm just glad it's done. Nate, when are they announcing? I'm just taking over Josh's job for reasons. When are they announcing Trent McDuffie's extension? That's next, right? Like in 2 minutes?
Yes. Relatively quickly. I'm being real serious, guys. As an olive branch, not that you really need one, but you know, courtesy matters. The touch you provide matters. I would have, if I were the Chiefs, I would have very serious conversations with Trent McDuffie. And I know Trent McDuffie might not want to answer that phone call because that's how it works, kids.
Right.
It's going to be even hard. You could potentially, let me prepare people. This is going to be harder because
because he's so good.
You have less time before the season starts. He is undeniably so good. The cornerback market will go up regardless whether he does it now or in the spring.
Because Surtain's going to get signed.
Correct. You already have a 5th-year option that he could play with, and he's a 1st-round pick. So to your point, Seth, he's already made a handsome amount of money. I would really, really, really put on my nicest clothes, put that nice cologne on.
Get the makeup department over.
Get the makeup girl to his house and tell him, I'll take you wherever you want to go. Anywhere you want to go tonight. I'll fly out. You in California? I'll fly out. I'll come to wherever you are. Because that's how much you mean to me. That's how much you mean to us, to the team. Okay? I know you better than him. Yes, let's talk about it over drinks. I know you better than Sauce Gardner. Sauce Gardner be holding people half the game and be getting away with it. I know, baby girl. I know you ain't gotta worry about me. I see what these other girls is doing, and they not doing what you doing. I see it. So look, let me take you out, please. Please,
this is your fault.
Please.
That's fair.
Please, can I take you out? Don't say you're busy. Please. You don't.
I got $30 million AAV for you.
I know you got a report on Tuesday, but just, baby, please. Come.
The time would be the time would be for the Chiefs right now is to look at Sauce Gardner's contract, and every team structures things differently. Add 0.1 to every year and say, how about this? Because when Patrick Surtain II signs his, it's just going to get worse, people.
It's already bad.
It's already a lot.
Already a lot.
It's a lot of money.
Look, I know this is largely because, again, in a sport where most position groups, you have multiple guys from that position on the field at all times. But the Creed Humphrey deal from last year, like getting it a year early and locking down your center seemed really smart. And this took every minute of the deadline for Trey Smith. And I am a little bit stressed about the Trent McDuffie deal. You know who's not stressed about the finances? Shout out to Pac West and Angry Drunken German on the super chats here.
Yeah.
It goes on to benefit the KCSN Foundation, and appreciate that very much. I want to ask you guys a couple of questions about Trey Smith, because I think we probably spend more time on Thursday on the McDuffie, George Karlaftis of it all.
Yes.
Something that each of you have mentioned that's kind of a similar question. I don't think I've given my just like general kind of lukewarmness on this deal. I love Trey Smith. I think he is the type of player you want to invest in. I could say something similar about George Karlaftis, honestly, of like, this is a guy who's out there all the time, you know,
all the time.
Draft blood clot thing notwithstanding, out there all the time. Dude is healthy. He seems to have the brain for the game, in addition to having the physical tools, being really, really excellent in the run blocking game, and being a good pass blocker in his own right. He's young, and you hope that he's ascending. You're projecting, but it's reasonable to project that his best football may still be in front of him. I think the question there is, what's the angle of that trajectory? Is he going to be as good or better than Joe Thuney in the next couple of years? The Chiefs are telling you they think he is, or I guess they're telling you they think they're going to extend him again in a few years.
The only way the deal works out in the Chiefs' favor is if he does become Joe Thuney. And kids, that's a mountain to climb.
So that
guy's a robot,
right? And that to me just puts a little bit of a sourness in it. And look, I don't know if this deal was $3 million AAV less, would I like it a lot better? I don't know. It's a enormous amount of money for a very good player. We can agree on those terms. Seth, one thing you said earlier before Nate hopped on was that you mentioned that he is, you know, and citing Brandon Thorne in this too, that he is a verified weapon in the run game, that he is the guy you can build the run game around, and he can do anything you want in the run game. Okay, that's just point one. And then, Nate, you mentioned talking about the Chiefs seeing all of this value in Trey Smith. You said he's so valuable that you have to make this move. This really isn't like, I'm not building a counterpoint. This isn't a gotcha, but I want to know why the run game hasn't been better. And I want to know what Trey Smith's value looks like to you if you say that he is one of the best run blocking guards in the game, but he has a mountain to climb to get the Joe Thuney's level of pass blocking consistency and a pass blocking O-line. What's the Chiefs' argument for saying, no, he is that valuable? And I'm not saying that it's his fault that the running game has been a problem, but
it's a legitimate question.
He alone cannot build a running game. One guard alone cannot make a running game excellent.
Yeah.
What do you guys do with those?
From a film perspective, what I would say in terms of the reason the run game was pretty mediocre last year was largely on the running backs. There's a reason why, and we talked about this at length last week, when we talked about the lack of explosives the Chiefs had last year. They had opportunities for explosives. And if they just had a running back with average burst and average vision, the run game would have looked exponentially better last year because it would have included at least one explosive a game. Because there was room there, and that's why it was so efficient with Kareem Hunt, because there was room there. It just wasn't. It got 4 yards or 5 yards or 4 yards or 5 yards. Oh, there's 3. Hey, there's 6, and that was there was not a lot of variance to it, but it does demonstrate the limitations of one player. So that I would answer that question with that. In terms of the pass blocking thing, Trey Smith has many incredibly high level pass blocking reps, and those have increased every year in the league. It's about consistency. If you go back and watch the Super Bowl, he had some struggles. Now the whole line, there was just a lot going on there.
Yeah, it's bad day, boys. Just awful day.
Rough game to watch overall. But I mean, there was another week I wrote about. I think it was against Denver, where the pass protection problems were more on Mahomes and Trey Smith, and everyone wanted to blame Juwan Taylor that week. And I was just like, well, Trey Smith does still occasionally have average to below average games as a pass protector. It doesn't happen nearly as much. And by an average game, and Thorne does such a good job laying this out, when you say an offensive lineman has an average game against a really good opponent, that can look terrible. Because that's the thing about an average player. You get matched up against an elite, a left tackle who's matched up against, Joe Nobody versus a left tackle matched up against Myles Garrett is going to look very, very different. The thing with him, and I actually included this when I wrote about the idea of roster building, I included one of my favorite snaps of his from last year where he got matched up against Myles Garrett on the interior, who is virtually unblockable from the interior. Well, he's unblockable everywhere. That guy is just an absolute monster.
Good.
He's so good. And it was a really great snap, not just because Trey Smith won the snap, but the way he did it. And we've talked about this a lot. Something Trey Smith added to his game about 2 years ago is when I really started noticing it. And this last year, he started utilizing more, is those alternating punches when he's in pass protection, because he used to have a tendency to get out over his feet, as it were, lunge a little too much, get caught off bounce, because he doesn't have elite lateral agility. He's fine, but it's not elite. He starts off because Garrett threatens his outside shoulder, so he punches with his left arm because he knows he's got enough power there to slow it down. Garrett crosses his face. This is a move that would have destroyed most guards, but because he didn't use both hands to punch out, he's not rushing half a man. I still got my whole left arm here. And he's able to take Myles bleeping Garrett, stop him, and throw him backward. Now, that's an elite level snap. It's the consistency. And that's raised up every year. Every year. You get that 5% up. Now we're talking hovering the range. Probably never going to be as consistent as Joe Thuney. If you can get
he's a human being, Seth.
Yeah, that's accurate. But if he can get it to the point to where he's almost as consistent as Joe Thuney with more dominant pass pro reps, okay, that's worth the contract. It's just there's an if there. And the Chiefs Nate, Josh and I talked about this. The Chiefs took a gamble on Trey Smith at 26 over Joe Thuney plus $6 million a year in cap space.
And 30 and age 33, basically, right?
Yep. And age 33, basically. I think he turns 33 in November. So they're saying we think there's some risk factor there of Thuney taking a step down too. So you got to weigh all that in. It's like an algebra equation, some of these moves. So I think that's how I would answer all that from a film perspective. But it's a risk. It's 100% a risk, because one of the worst things you can do is pay. Not one of the worst things. A bad thing you can do, roster building, is pay good players elite money. That's how you can end up in a lot of trouble. Jawan Taylor's not a bad right tackle.
You want me to say his name? You want me to say his name? I'll say his name.
Say his name.
Say his name?
I
mean, you want me to say his name? At one point, they played the same position, or at one point he used to play the same position. No, Adam Sheehan. It is not Frank Clark. Frank Clark earned every bit of that contract. When you knew you had to overpay him. Look, man, come on.
Hold on. Paying a good player elite money. Hold on.
Hey, look at those sack numbers. Thank you, Nate Dogg. With sadness in my heart.
Good dude.
One of the reasons John Dorsey was not long for this game was he gave a seismic, life-altering, we just love this guy, blow up the market money to Laurent Duvernay-Tardif. And he was never the same player after that.
Yep.
And that's round pick too, I think, right? That's kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like.
I was gonna say the similarities. I don't think there are a whole lot. I'm not doing a whole lot of similarities there. Their collegiate paths also quite different. McGill versus dominating the SEC, but
without how good Trey Smith was, he got everybody's attention. You name those quarterbacks at Tennessee. Do it. I dare you. They all stunk.
I can't.
I don't know, man. It's interesting. I don't think I can be a don't pay guards $20 million absolute take haver, because I was left a little bit not baffled, maybe befuddled by the Joe Thuney contract in free agency. I think for me that was also a little bit of like, well, you were going really hard for Trent Williams, and then you took second prize in the offensive line investment. That felt kind of hectic to me. Ultimately, obviously, Joe Thuney was a value for the Chiefs during his time in Kansas City. I mean, there's no way to view that other than absolutely positively. Joe Thuney is also a brutal standard to put other interior offensive linemen up against.
I know. It's so bad. And of course, because they played so well together, they were the best interior offensive line in the league for the last 2 to 3 years. I mean, it's nuts what they were doing. And then these behemoths in Philadelphia showed up. And I mean, they don't have the same trio either, based on winning the Super Bowl last year in free agency. But yeah, I mean, it's wild that you could tell too that he learned so much from Joe Thuney. He's learned so much from obviously playing with Creed Humphrey and their friendship, that he has gotten better every year. So yes, it's a risk, but it's moderate would be the way I would.
It's $8 million of next year's salary cap and $9 million. Or excuse me, it's 8% of 2026's salary cap and almost 9% in 2027 based off the over the cap projections. So that's the thing for me is it's not that he's not worthy of a payday. It's it is a huge slice of your salary pie.
Right.
And I'm also not building a take of like only pay players who can single-handedly change the game because that's that might be quarterback.
It's a team sport. Yeah,
right.
It's a team sport. Yeah.
Quarterback, and maybe an elite pass rusher. Or like, hey, just you pay them if you've seen it, right? Again, I'm not.
Right.
It's not that, but that elite interior offensive line of Joe Thuney, Creed Humphrey, and Trey Smith again did not create a lifelong period of time for Patrick Mahomes in the pocket on a regular basis. It was not enough to create a explosive running game. And I even wonder, Seth, this may be a longer conversation for later, but like. You described, well, this version of a running back with average to above average vision and burst, that guy could have made more of last year's blocking. Is that guy on the roster this year? Are we hoping that's Isaiah Pacheco? I don't know does he have average vision?
Yes.
I'm hyping up Isaiah Pacheco this offseason. I've done that on this show and others of like, I think I think he has been underrated now because of the way that his season went and ultimately ended coming off the injury and all of that. So I'm kind of buying a resurgence from Pacheco. I'm just trying to fit all these pieces together. And again, the opportunity cost is the entire conversation when you're talking about a very good player getting a market resetting payday.
Right. It was never going to be an easy decision because if you choose Thuney, you're choosing the significantly older player. And if he drops off even a little at like 34, while Trey continues his trajectory, you're going to get massacred. Right. Now, you can't make decisions out of, the idea of the court of the public opinion. And I think we know Reed and Veach don't do that. They've got a ton of job security. They don't have to do that.
Can I interject on another in Trey Smith's favor? Because when you guys were talking about the, paying very good players elite money, the place where I think you can get really blindsided is when you're paying somebody else's very good player elite money, which was another instance of the Joe Thuney thing working out despite being terrifying. And I'm guessing that Brett Veach and Andy Reid had a hunch that during those years in New England that Joe Thuney was going to be the same guy every day. But there is something to Trey Smith's been in the building, and it's not just rewarding the homegrown guys. I know there's that helps. That's nice to have. But when you have had this guy in your building for his entire NFL career to this point, you're pretty sure you know what's going on in his head also. Like that, and that's very valuable when you're about to give someone almost 10% of a salary cap hit a couple years down the road, $70 million guaranteed. Do I know you? Do you love football? Do you know does your mind work with our coaches' minds? And for Trey Smith, it seems like resounding yeses in every one of those categories.
Yep. And yeah, no, that's a really good way of framing it. Familiarity does matter, like legit familiarity, because film can only tell you so much about a guy. Here, talking to someone on the team, knowing him and Creed staying together, and I think this is like a 0.01% thing, but this was a tough decision, and that's where those 0.01% things matter when you're talking about a genuinely tough decision. I do think that familiarity with Creed and the ability to continue to kind of grow old together, those two. That does matter to an extent. And I really do think I've been going back and rewatching. The thing that I keep coming back to about being more bullish on Trey Smith hitting that ceiling that they clearly think he will. They wouldn't have done this if they thought he was going to be the exact same player. I don't think.
Right.
Brandon Thorne thinks he will. So I'm just like, okay. I think I've gotten burned so many times on players that are on a trajectory, assuming they'll continue it. The thing with Smith is that he has all the physical tools to reach that trajectory. And everything we've seen is that he puts in the work, like the work he does with O-line masterminds and that stuff. He doesn't have to do that, right? That's like extra stuff to try to get better. Kingsley Suamadiya. Those are things that you specifically are doing above and beyond. So they know he'll do that. So I've got some confidence in it. I just, so Nate, you missed my kind of, I guess, negative Nelly start off.
That was you being negative?
I'm really bad at it. But it's just a matter of there are two sides to it, that there's a risk here. And if Joe Thuney continues to play at a very elite level and Trey stays where he's at, it's going to feel a little off in future
If both
years.
of these guys are the same, don't worry, Seth, I'll sharpen this one for you. If both of these players are the same guy the next 3 years, the Chiefs made a mistake today. Or they made a mistake 2 months ago.
Yeah,
really.
yeah,
exactly.
They made a mistake
Correct.
at that moment. And
Correct.
I think the most critical thing you could say is the Chiefs painted themselves into the corner where as soon as they traded Joe Thuney, and Nate already said this too, when they didn't invest in the guard position this offseason elsewhere, they said, we're gonna agree on a deal. Let's just try to be cool about it. And so that I don't know. There are some guys who are worth being willing to walk away from the table for. We I think celebrated when the Chiefs finally kind of bent in the Chris Jones negotiation, right? That's an elite player.
That's an elite player, and
it's an elite player, elite
he earned
money,
it. He really earned it.
And it's good for the team ultimately that the Chiefs gave in on that on Chris Jones. Here we're saying we'll find out because they're betting on Trey Smith's trajectory, which I think Seth, you can have the ball back here. Sorry, it's reasonable to think that he will continue to ascend, but if he doesn't, you're not going to be happy about paying him $28 million in 2027. I don't think that's a hot take or negative at all.
Right. And if he doesn't, then it won't be this horrifying mistake because you'll still have a very good right guard.
It's Juwan Taylor.
The thing is, well, I wouldn't even say that because he's a better guard than Taylor is a tackle.
It's Juwan Taylor minus penalties, maybe, which I know is like saying Juwan Taylor plus another arm or whatever. Like that's
right. Yeah, no, that's a big deal.
In terms of it being a player, that's a ton of money for a good player there. Also, I guess I would say, Seth, Trey Smith's definitely a better guard than Juwan Taylor is a tackle.
Yes,
it's at a slightly less important position.
That's right.
Generally speaking, or at least in terms of where your eyeballs are going to go.
Yep.
Yeah, I think overall, and then again, these are marginal differences. Because I do think there's a really strong argument that Trey Smith is a top 6 to 8 guard, maybe top 10-ish, whereas Juwan Taylor doesn't have an argument for that. And not even like right tackle is a struggle for him, not just tackle in general. So again, it's like I'm disagreeing with you. I'm trying to refine it a little bit. I agree with you. It will be a mistake if the trajectory doesn't continue. And the pushback someone might give would be, well, it's not that big a mistake because still a really good player. But I would just note the margins are a big deal when you are a Super Bowl contender every year. And that's why I kind of went on this whole 15-minute soliloquy about the choice they made. And one thing I think it's so easy to do because we always think of one player versus another player. There are other places the Chiefs have chosen to spend money. So if one wanted to make an argument, Nate, stop looking at me like that. If one wanted to make an argument that they could have made other decisions to why not both it, they could have. But it will go down as it was either Thuney or Smith. And I hope they are 100% right. And that Trey Smith takes that 5 to 10% jump in consistency and pass protection. And man, would that be awesome. That would be so much fun. And then you're good to go. It's just going to be a tough road for him because again, you're now not just being compared to yourself from previous years. You're being compared to the all-pro, probably future Hall of Famer robot that used to play on the other side. Here's just one other thing though. there is the Kingsley Suamata-Ia to it all. Let's say Trey Smith doesn't necessarily ascend anymore. He stays the exact same guy he is, but Kingsley Suamata-Ia turns out to be a really solid guard. Then no one's going to care either way. And that's the funny thing about one lever pulling on so many other levers.
Yes.
Because then it would be one of those like, well, he might not have been as good at right guard as he is at left guard, blah, blah, blah. And so that's kind of the interesting thing. There's bets being made here across the board. I'm so glad I'm not a GM. It's, you know what, Josh? Because I know sometimes I hedge too much for you.
It'd be so much. It'd be fun, but boy, the headaches are
yes.
Are,
So I will make sure that I take a more definitive, stronger stance here, because otherwise Josh is going to yell at me when we cut. This is not what I would have done. I'm thrilled for Trey Smith, and I'm thrilled for the Chiefs. I would have extended Joe Thuney at that money and said thank you so much to Trey Smith and made him a sizable offer that I knew he wouldn't be able to accept, and that he would have gone and gotten paid probably $25 million a year in straight up free agency. That's what I would have done. But I can see why there's a good chance I'd be wrong, and I'm thrilled that he's still on the roster long term now that they've committed, because they committed to that months ago. To me, the real disaster would have been they made the commitment and then he's on the tag, and you're like, good Lord,
God, what are you doing?
And now you like really need Kingsley to be good, and you might need Mike Caliendo to be good, and you might need CJ Hansen to be like, you're just starting to
right.
And so I'm thrilled about it in terms of keeping him in Kansas City long term, in terms of helping them affirm the choice they've made previously. But I don't mind saying, and again, this is for you, Josh, it's not what I would have done. But man, I cannot wait to be midway through the year being like, holy crap, was I wrong about that? I'm excited for that.
It's a win-win for me because I love it when you're wrong about things as well. Nate, I know you've almost certainly got a photo shoot to go do, or just maybe a beach chair to lay on. I'm not sure what the rest of your day has in store, but
I have a dinner date with my colleagues. It's gonna be swell.
Fantastic. Make sure the lighting's good so people can really take note of your invisible pores. I'm just saying, just to really maximize that. And I'm gonna go ahead and kick it over to you. We're over an hour. Seth and I did some heavy lifting those first 15 minutes or so. So why don't you go ahead and get us out of here from beautiful Bristol?
Yeah, as we enter the golden hour, ladies and gentlemen, I did not know I was going to be on TV today. You want to know how the sausage gets made? They came to me and they said, all right, listen here, young fella. You want to be on television? And I said, well, certainly.
ESPN 2, 3, 4, is there 5 or 6, 7 or 8? Ocho?
So you and Chef are doing this thing? Yeah, we on top of it. You know that. Okay, we would like for you to be on TV. Okay. Okay, who do I want to talk to? Okay, I need to, I haven't even done the training yet. And then they came to me after we had broken the news, and it was like, not only are you being subbed into the lineup today, young fella, you're hitting leadoff.
Woo-hoo!
And
Nate got so excited he unplugged his microphone. Nope, still no audio. Still no audio. Just to the end of the show. Oh, Nate?
Yes, I'm here.
You're back. Okay, yeah, you're back. And they said, you're batting leadoff.
You're batting leadoff. And I said, what? I did not bring a suit jacket, obviously, because I wasn't supposed to be on TV. So I rolled up my shoulders, or I rolled up my sleeves and my shoulders, put my makeup on, and did live television today, kids, to present you analysis on today's news involving Trey Smith. And we've talked about so many illicit drugs on this show.
Yeah.
Most notably that I mean, it's coming back real soon. They said it's gonna be hitting this fall. That red zone, they making new red zone, Josh. They making new red zone. I'm gonna just snip it all up on week 1. But there's kind of no drug like 5, 4, 3, like you're on live television and your family's watching, and keep a thought together, you bozo. They're pointing to you. Yes.
I'm excited you're on ESPN, Nate, but I do hope you promise to only ever talk about your balls on this show.
Of course. God, my balls are hot.
Yes, he is.